In a remote village nestled between the mountains, there was a legend that haunted the locals about a haunted house that had not opened its doors for decades. No one dared to go near it. The villagers spoke of a family, the Al-Hassan family, who mysteriously disappeared one dark night without leaving a trace. There was a young girl named Reem, who was passionate about adventures. Despite the villagers' warnings, Reem decided she would uncover the truth behind the haunted house. She had heard of the house since childhood, and her curiosity had grown stronger with time, urging her to discover what really happened to that family and how they vanished so suddenly. One day, Reem packed her small bag with food and water and set off. The road was narrow, winding through thick trees, and the sound of the wind howling only intensified Reem's sense of mystery and anticipation. She decided to take the dark path leading to the haunted house. After hours of walking through the thick forest, Reem finally reached the house. There was something eerie about this place. The house appeared ancient, with cracked walls and tightly shut windows and doors. However, there was an unsettling fog surrounding it, as if time had frozen in this very spot. Reem stood before the large door, feeling a deep sense of unease. Her heart raced, but her curiosity pushed her forward. She slowly pushed the door open, and with a loud creak, it moved. She stepped into the house, where darkness engulfed the place, though the faint light coming from broken windows allowed her to see in a blurry haze. The air was heavy, musty, and smelled of old decay. The rooms were filled with dust, and cobwebs stretched across the corners. But despite the decay, there was something unnatural. The walls were covered with strange drawings, as if they were holding secrets buried within them for years. Reem took a deep breath and began to explore the house. Her footsteps echoed throughout the dilapidated rooms, blending with the sounds of the wind coming through the open windows. Suddenly, she stopped in front of a specific room, its door tightly shut. Her heart raced as she approached it, as though something was pulling her toward this room. At that moment, she heard faint whispers coming from inside, mysterious voices, growing clearer, as if someone else were inside the room. Her skin tingled, but she steadied herself and decided to open the door. To her surprise, it opened easily, but the shock came when she looked inside. In the room, there was an old chair placed in the middle. On the walls hung old family portraits of the Al-Hassan family, all smiling and looking happy. What terrified Reem was that the eyes in the portraits seemed to follow her every move. As she approached one of the pictures, something strange occurred. The whispers grew louder, and the chairs began moving unnaturally, as if an invisible hand was pushing them. There was no one in the room, but the wind howled as it moved through the broken windows. Then, suddenly, the glass shattered, and a strange image appeared on the wall. It was a picture of a young girl, strikingly similar to Reem. However, her face was obscured by a dark shadow, and her eyes were filled with malice. Reem smiled at first, thinking it was just a trick of the light. But the whispers began growing louder and more frantic. She could hear words now. "Run! Don't come closer to the wall." The words repeated faster and faster, as though something was trying to warn her. Then, she heard footsteps coming from behind her. Reem turned quickly, but no one was there. Still, the sounds continued to grow louder, as if someone were walking right behind her in the darkness. She ran to the door, but when she tried to open it, it slammed shut by itself, trapping her inside. At that moment, she found herself surrounded by darkness, and the sounds grew louder and more chaotic. The furniture moved unnaturally, as if the room itself had come to life. Reem then discovered a deep secret of the house. On one of the walls, she found an ancient inscription that read, "Those who enter here never leave." As she tried to escape, she felt something cold touch her shoulder from behind. When she turned around, there was a dark figure standing in front of her, its face unclear, but it was breathing deeply and rapidly. In that instant, Reem's fear reached its peak, and she ran in all directions, desperately trying to find an exit. Eventually, she found herself outside the house, but with the strange sensation that something was following her. From that night on, Reem was never the same. Whenever she looked into a mirror, she saw that eerie image from the haunted house, as if it had become a part of her.